We spend in developing those scenarios. We've worked with a lot of you from research. Some of you we may have worked with before, some of you maybe not. And so we just want to let you guys know about the team, our work, and the opportunities that we might have to work together and the benefits that we both might gain as a result. So let's go over here and see what we're going to talk about today. And obviously we're not going to talk about anything because it's changing up there and it's not changing here, so we'll just fake it. So we're going to tell you a little bit about who we are. I want you to have some sense of where we fit within the company, what the context of our work is, how we do what we do, why that might matter to you, and then we'll talk at the end a little bit about some specific ways that we might be able to collaborate. So what we hope you'll take away is a little bit of insight into how this particular team creates rapid prototypes. And by rapid prototypes, I mean prototypes that we might accomplish in a couple of weeks or within a couple of months. We can also get a little bit of insight maybe into how one team, specifically this one, manages to have some influence on the product groups, on innovation in the company. And of course we will hope to give you some idea on how to get your stuff into the Microsoft home and into other demos that we do, and understand the value of doing that. So who we are. We've been around for about 12 years. The company has managed to see fit to fund us for that long, so we've managed to, I guess, keep proving our worth to them, and I hope we continue to do so. We're a very small team. We're about 12 people now. It's the largest it's ever been. We're interdisciplinary. That is to say, we've got devs, we've got program managers. We all have a certain kind of segregated set of skills. It gives us a lot of flexibility and adaptability. And strictly speaking, we're not part of the consumer group, as you might expect, because we're doing consumer scenarios. We're actually part of the Windows Client division, specifically extended platforms. And that's where eHome lives, the Media Center lives, the tablet lives, and so forth. And our charter is company-wide. That means we do a lot of cross-divisional work. And it is to illustrate Microsoft's consumer strategy and future vision. And we do that a variety of ways. Sometimes we write papers. Now, I know this is kind of, it's essentially an academic crowd. We're not of that ilk. We do write thought papers, concept papers, and that sort of stuff, and they do get spread around a little bit. What we do primarily are immersive prototypes, and our largest immersive prototype is the Microsoft Home. That means that, you know, if you come into space, it looks and feels and acts like a home. We also have a couple of programs and facilities that work on the strategy side of things. And so to get another idea of how we fit within the company, there's different ways that we can think about product development within the company. And over there on the left, you got your product groups. And they do their 3-year plans. They're focused basically on the fairly near term, and in particular on their next ship dates and those sorts of things. That's where they have to provide their focus. And at the other end of the spectrum, of course, we've got Microsoft Research. And you're looking out maybe 10+ years. And it's basically fundamental research, and we know that you have impact on the innovation of the company and the product groups, but it's probably done a little bit differently than, say, the influence we have. We're somewhere in the middle. We look out maybe 3 to 10 years. We are completely focused on the consumer perspective, not enterprise, not anything else. And our prototypes are scenario-based. That basically means, you know, we do storytelling with our demos. We think we have better impact on ideas and discussion. We can foment discussion about technologies by telling a nice little story in a demo. There's a couple of reasons we think vision matters. We see innovation as an essential tool for innovation and basically an innovation tool for Microsoft. Now, if you think about this, maybe you're, say, an executive, a leader in your field or something. You want to have influence, and you want to take the people who work for you and the people you work with to a particular place. One of the ways that you can do that is presenting a vision of what you have in mind. Some people do that with words. We do that with images. We also find that when we bring people together to see a demo or to visit the Microsoft home, that we create a space where they can think about the future, they can imagine the future, and they can start to discuss with us what it takes to get there. What has to happen with hardware? What has to happen with software? What are the privacy implications, security implications, the unexpected social effects? What has to happen with standards? What's the proper role of government and regulation? And so that kind of space, of course, as you can imagine, is very, very valuable. And if you get, the product groups thinking in those terms, and a company thinking in those terms, and our partners thinking in those terms, and industry and government, then all of that feeds into innovation and innovation thinking at different levels. And that's, tall order, and it sounds kind of presumptuous to state it in those terms. But, we like to make our small contribution to that kind of thinking. And, of course, we got Oliver Wendell Holmes' quote here. Another quote that we're very fond of is, "Faith is the only way to show the future." And that's kind of what we do. So we develop what we call tangible user scenarios and experiences. And one of our goals is to help make Microsoft products better. And the way we might do that is a couple of ways. Well, actually, I'll mention 3 examples. The first is a tablet PC. Our group incubated the tablet PC. We basically provided a small, safe place to try out an idea that somebody in the company had, and did initial storyboards for it to walk execs through. They said, okay, that looks good, build a prototype. We built a prototype. They got more excited, went through some more iterations, and got budget. We didn't get budget. We spun it off, of course, at that point. Somebody else took it and actually began to productize it. Another example is Media Center PC. Basically unifies the entertainment experience within one easy-to-use interface that you can drive with a remote. This comes directly from ideas that we were working on in a previous version of the home that exists now. And so we can influence product in that way as well. Another way we influence product, of course, is just providing for our internal product groups a space to come in, look at ideas, think about how their products might fit in the future into that kind of an environment, think about how they might need to think cross-group about how things might need to fit together. Sometimes product groups come in when they're about to start thinking about their future product plans or a particular idea. They do some brainstorming with us. So in all those ways, we can feed innovation and have an impact on Microsoft products. We create IP. We have the presumptuous aspiration to be second only to research in the number of patents that we produce per head. I don't know for how close we are to achieving that, but I think we do our share. And then, of course, very importantly, especially in a technology company, is that you've got at least a few people who are strongly and solely advocating a consumer perspective. So, as I mentioned, kinds of things we deliver, prototypes, immersive demos. We also do some coordination of consumer efforts across the company. So if you think about something like the Consumer Electronics Show, and we got a big booth there, and also, Bill gives a keynote there, and there's got to be stuff that he gets to show off. And so we've got somebody on our team that coordinates cross-group across all the consumer groups, decides with them what our messaging will be, what's going to go into the booth, how we're going to position it, and so forth. We also typically do a vision segment for Bill's keynote. And in both the cross-group work that we do for the booth and for the vision demo, we may work with, I think one time I worked with 15 different groups, 60 different people to get a 3-minute demo produced. It takes that kind of work sometimes to integrate hardware, software, and all the people that get to have input on it. So a lot of cross-group interaction. Develop, manage, and support 2 corporate-wide assets. That's the Microsoft Consumer Experience and Microsoft Home, and we'll talk more about that in a second. And in fact, now that I'm reading the slide, let's go there. So the Microsoft Consumer Experience, we're going to talk about that one first. That one's focused on today, on today's end-to-end consumer experience. And so, we bring customers and partners here, same way we do to the home, slightly different function. We have meetings there, focus groups. We bring internal groups through as well. Both facilities get a lot of press additionally. So we got the Microsoft Home. And, sorry. Let's try it again. Huh, isn't that interesting? I'm out of control, obviously. Okay, must be the man behind the curtain. Thank you very much. So the Microsoft Home is the one place on campus where you really can bring people to look at a future home experience. Again, we look in the 3 to 10 year horizon. We bring in customers, partners. We get a lot of press. We get a lot of government officials, legislative officials, and so forth, and that's international. We've got a few pictures here. You'll also see in the demo we're going to show a little bit better view. So if you're thinking about technologies that you might have, ideas that you might have that you want to work into this environment, this is what it looks and feels like. It's very, very much like a real home. Things actually work. The sink works, that sort of stuff. Some things are different. For example, we don't have a bathroom in the home. But it really does give people a way. We find that what happens when people come into this environment, they could be IT managers, very, very technical. They come here for briefings, and they hear about SQL, and they hear about .NET framework, and all that back-end technology. We bring them into the home, and we say, well, this is what the consumer experience might be if you, implement the back-end and make different kinds of services and so forth available in the future. This is what it might be like. Well, immediately, they start to imagine themselves in this environment. They start to think about their families in this environment. And by the time they get out of there, they're not just thinking about the back-end technologies, what it would take to support that environment, what kinds of opportunities exist for their company, but they also are looking at it a little bit more from the consumer perspective and the impact that that might actually have on their family. So it kind of reinforces the other kind of messaging that we're trying to do. So now we get to the demo part of the program. And we're going to show you a little bit in 3 different forms the kinds of things that we produce. After we get done with that, we're going to talk about a little bit about how we do it, and then we're going to move on and talk about the project that we are working on today that provides some opportunities for you folks, we think. Yeah, so get me started on the video. Play, perhaps. So the 10-minute demo. Flora, you want to set this up because Flora produced this one?
Sure. We did this for eHome. Actually in it are in the Microsoft Home already. They did a conference at Connections in San Jose where they were entertaining a lot of people in the media business. And so we set this up with them. They did a demo first of I believe it was a little precursor to the Harmony release, and we showed what potentially a PC in the future, being the sort of the center of the heart of the home, might show as a different experiences. And so that's what this is. Oh, sorry. Oh, thank you.
We'll call you later. Hey, welcome. I'm glad you could meet me here. I appreciate you taking a few minutes to come check out Egan Family Home. Now, we live in the future where we've got software, devices, and media center PCs that make entertainment, communications, and control a lot easier and more convenient. Now, you came on a good day because here today we've got some cool new things to show you. In particular, just last night we had a new television delivered. And I haven't had a chance to set it up yet. Haven't even had a chance to turn it on. So you'll get a chance to see how entertainment is easier to set up, more fun to use, and how it really puts us in control of some of this technology and makes living in the future a better place. So have a seat, and we'll get started. Now I got to tell you, one of my favorite things of living in the future is having one remote control to get control of everything. In the past, I had remotes all over the house, different ones sitting on the coffee table. But a Media Center PC in the future ties together my devices, my services, provides a consistent way not only to access things on screen, but a consistent way to control them. Well, let's get started with this brand new television. First thing you're going to notice is that there's something cool that happens when I first turn on a new device in the house. It's discovered by the Media Center PC. Makes it easy to set them up and configure. No more futzing with inputs, outputs, spending a full day trying to configure things. Things just plug in and work. In fact, I can see here that the TV comes on, automatically configured to one of my favorite channels. And in just a few seconds, it's going to recognize that this device is new in the home and give me a chance to make it securely authenticated, which is important for privacy if I'm going to use this for family photos or videos. Sure enough, Egan Family Home discovered. Let's join. Now, authentication is something that could be hard or it can be easy. In the future, it's as easy as either speaking to the device, using my thumbprint, or if you're old-fashioned, the good old PIN works every time. So let's go ahead and use the remote to put in a simple PIN. And now this device is securely joined to the Family Home Network. All the services can be trusted to be displayed to this device. Now, I watch TV on this big plasma display. I think that's what we'll do most of the time. But the Media Center PC can build a simple home portal that pulls together all my information and makes it accessible on any display. Let's see what it does for this device. Pretty cool. Look at that. I've got my recent media, favorites, music, news, heck, even home controls so that on any device I can control lighting, temperature, and even calendar information's up here. I'll tell you what, it's a lot easier to make sense of a busy life living in the future with the Media Center PC. Now, in addition to using big displays, I love having mobility, even in the house. And I can see here on the coffee table, we've got a portable display. Now, a portable display is a great tool to have if you want to get away from the crowd, get out to the backyard, or head out to the garage, and still be in touch with all of your content and services. In fact, this portable display can be a full PC desktop. So I could start it, browse the internet, do my email. But when I bring up the home portal, Media Center provides the same kind of consistent, easy to use, and actually pretty darn cool user interface to my favorite content and services. Let's take a look at some of these choices. Look at this. This device is aware of that new TV that was added. It says a new TV has been detected in the family room. Would I like to customize it? Sounds pretty good to me. Wow, lots of interesting choices, but they're all simple and easy to use. I can get notifications, caller ID, authentication for really dialing up the security if I'm concerned. But you know, as a parent, parental controls are important to me, and it looks like I can have simple, easy to set parental controls on all devices in the house, from game players to new televisions. I've also got some cool services here. Let's put our photos on that new TV. I don't actually want to be reminded of how busy we are. And it looks like there's some neat services as well. I'm a big baseball fan, so let's add the Baseball Fan Club service. Sounds like something that's related to a fantasy league that I'm a member of. Let's go ahead and apply those settings. And now from this portable display, my TV has a custom display. And sure enough, there's my family photos. There's my daughter in her Halloween outfit. I'll tell you what, living in the future sure is easy when you can pull all this together. In the few clicks of a pen, a few clicks on a remote, things just work. Well, you know,
get the idea. This started out originally as a demo that was part of a keynote. We had a bunch of devices on stage demonstrating this sort of thing. Spun off, did a video that can serve as a marketing tool and that sort of stuff. Okay, so I think we're going to switch back now. Oh, excuse me, I do want to go back over here. Thank you. So let me show you a little bit from another kind of demo that we've done recently. This is a demo that Dave Baumert on our team did around the subject of trust and security. Obviously, a lot of interest in the industry as well as at Microsoft on the idea of trustworthy computing, on security and so forth. We wanted to take it out a little bit further into the future and explore it from a family perspective. I don't think the family thinks in terms of, say, for example, cybersecurity or something like that. I think they think in terms of well-being, you know, is my family safe and protected and that sort of stuff. And so we'll give you an example of some of the things we're thinking about there. I'm just going to show you one short scene there. So in the future, we could assume, for example, that there might be a range of devices that your kids might carry around with them, different capability and so forth. They might carry them for different reasons, either because they're cool or because they've got some functionality that they find valuable and that you as a parent find valuable. So, you know, today, for example, we've got the Wearify watch. It's got GPS on it. It can lock to a kid's wrist. You might have a locking bracelet in the future that has similar kinds of function that the kid can wear that might have some fashion value as well. The second item is a pendant locket. We're going to look at that. That's got a few more features. You can, as a parent, make it possible for this child to send and receive messages to a limited set of people, you know, you, your grandparents, and that sort of thing. There's also some other features on there we'll talk about. You might have other form factors like this clamshell compact in the future, very stylish. Right on up to the more autonomous, so you go from the managed to the more autonomous, so you got your cell phones too. So let's just look at a little scenario around the locket. There's my daughter. She's in the school playground at early morning recess, and this is her locket. And she opens it up, and we can take a look at the features. We've allowed her to receive and send messages to a few people. This is her best friend.
Hi, sweetie. Good luck on your spelling test today.
Grandma
I love you.
sent her a new message.
Thanks, Grandma. I love you too.
We can send a new message automatically. Just record one that goes back to her. Her pet Spot lives on here. Spot's kind of handy. He alerts her to different things, kind of a notification method. And then, of course, Mom and Dad as well. Okay. So we continue with the recess, and now let's look at this experience, not just from the child's point of view, but from the parental point of view. So Mom's at work. This is her desktop. One of the things we see down there on the left-hand side is Jessie's location. This is something that Mom always likes to have visible. It just gives her a sense of reassurance. Now, she can also, excuse me, I'm going to go back over here, select that. She can get Jessie's information card, for lack of a better word, and look at her location. She can send her a message and so forth. We can also look at, okay, view map. Thank you. Just learning this demo. So we get more detail about where Jessie is at the current time and that sort of thing, what the data source is. And we go to the locket. Thank you. So we can pull up the details about the locket. That gives us a chance to set it and so forth. Let's take a look at the alarms, I believe. Is that right? Okay, we're learning. This locket has a range of possible responses. If you can see on the left-hand side some of the things that might trigger it, some of the things that might be exceptions. So, for example, you wouldn't want this triggering, calling the police if Jessie's on the playground and you hear a scream. It'd be very, typical for kids to be screaming and yelling on the playground. So that's an exception. But there's also a range of responses. So, for example, if the locket were placed down and didn't move for a period of time, it might escalate through various phases of notifying the Spot to, and what Spot would do, basically announce and make Jessie notice that the locket was put down over somewhere else. After that, it might call the school. After that, it might call Mom. And then, as a last resort, might call 911. So far, no false alarms. Okay. Now what? Okay, thank you. So, Mom wants to send a message to Jessie Higgs because she's got to pick her up after school, I think. So we're just going to go ahead and record this message. Should play.
Jessie, remember not to take the bus tonight. I'm going to pick you up. I love you.
And then we'll go ahead and send it. So let's see what the response is. One of the things that we assume in this kind of an environment is that, you don't want 30 lockets with messages coming into the school at different times. So we would assume some sort of a system that might make it possible to basically shut down the communications for the kids when they're not at recess. And then when they are, they can pick up their messages. So,
what do you want, Scott?
Jessie, remember not to take the bus tonight. I'm going to pick you up. I love you.
She going to send anything back? No. Okay. Oh, just keep going then. And so we can use it as a security device. We can use it as an easy way to send messages back and forth as well. And then they go ahead and continue playing. So it's just a little bit of a view of another kind of demo that we do. We've got another freestanding device here to give you a sense of the full range of our prototyping expertise. I probably can't see it over there, but I will certainly invite you to come up afterwards. We're not going to try and show this from here. Basically, this is a kid's tablet. We put a beanbag back on it, so it makes it a little more versatile for kids. And we're looking at strictly the kids' experience. We assume that in this environment, mom and dad are going to have one style desktop and different features. The kids are going to have another, and we can talk about some of those if you want to take a closer look after we're done. Okay, so we can switch back then to the slides, please. Man behind the curtain. And, basically our production process I don't think is any big deal in many ways. Research scenarios, storyboards, production, code, and that sort of thing. We bring, I think, what we call our special sauce to it, and that is, one, a lot of experience doing this kind of thing, and have the ability to build fairly polished, rock-solid demos. We have the ability to take a lot of different kinds of ideas that might be floating around in the ether, kind of synthesizing from that, doing some extrapolation, riffing on them, and coming up with compelling scenarios, and so forth. So we want to now talk a little bit about a current project that we're working on. This is our Beanstalk upgrade of the home. We upgrade the home every couple of years, and that means we revisit all the interfaces, all the scenarios, sometimes get to change out the furniture, and that sort of thing. And we want to talk a little bit about what we're doing there, and what we hope that will do for us together is, trigger some thoughts about maybe some of the stuff that you're currently working on that might be a good fit, and that sort of thing. So with that, Flora's going to take over and talk about the project.
Great, thank you. Can you hear me okay? My mic is on now. If you hadn't gotten an idea, you can tell we work on a lot of really, really fun stuff, and it's a really great team to work on, and I can't tell you how much fun it is every day to come to work. Beanstalk. So every 2 years or so, we do a refresh to the Microsoft Home. And with that, what we try and do is we bring in new concepts and scenarios that are appropriate for a family or imaginary family that lives here. Also looking at new technologies. And so one of the other things we don't want to do is throw the baby out with the bathwater, so we keep some of the existing concepts and technologies that still have a place. We may evolve some may just be solid enough that we just keep around because they don't need any evolution, they're just what they are. And then what we do is we develop themes around the concepts, and hopefully I'm going to be able to make this work. Yeah, okay, great. So for this particular rendition, we're looking at the theme or the concepts being values, well-being, and learning and play. I'll talk a little bit more about those later, but what I'll talk about is some of the continuing concepts that we're holding over from the last version of the home. So the last time we initiated the home, we had the concepts of identity, community, and communications. Identity meaning, what does it mean to be an individual in the home? If I'm part of a family, what does that mean? Is there a mode that could potentially be a family? Is there a persona mode? Can I get to my work? Can I be, Flora at home? And we have this family mode that we consider as a aggregate of content and experiences that are appropriate for everybody. So it's like all my music, all my kids' music, all my husband's music. Probably wouldn't show R-rated movies there just because we don't think that's appropriate for family. Communications, meaning that we should have easy access to the people that we care about. And community, in a way, is similar to that, connection to the people and things that we care about, whether it's a group of folks that I like, my music collection, or grandma. Then we have things like media distribution. As you know, once things are digital, having access to them is all you need in order to create great bodies of work. So with that, we've created a lot of aggregation. So all of our music is congregated into one area so that we can access it, whether it's coming from internet broadcast or a 500 CD changer or whatnot. We think that those kinds of concepts, having one place to go to get our music, is something that's still valid. We want to continue on with, including shows, games, any kind of media-related kinds of things. And then home and device control. So if I'm in the kitchen and I want to turn off the music in the family room because I forgot to do that, I can easily access that and turn that off from any location. So location is important. Okay, so as I mentioned, the theme is values and well-being and learning and play. Values really is the overarching theme for the whole upgrade for the home. One of the things that we did as we're starting to develop stuff is we do a fair amount of brainstorming. We do some informal research. The brainstorming generally comes up with lists of concepts. We try to look at themes across the concepts, and we end up with tons and tons of ideas, whether they're technology ideas or concepts like how do I care for my mother who might be living across the country. And we'll look at recurring themes, and we try and group them together, and the things that seem to be the most resonant, and also thinking about how the tour has been in the past when we bring people through the home, the kinds of things that people are interested in seeing for the future. We look at those, and then we ended up with this idea that values might be an interesting thing. Pam will talk a little bit more about what we mean by values, but it's basically taking your values and having technology to support them, and not in the way that we're talking about currently, things like not personas, but what we were talking about earlier, I'll let her discuss it later. So we'll go on to the next one. Values. While you're on, Pam, I'm going to let her discuss it, because Pam's been the one that's been doing most of the research for values.
Stay where you are, and I'll just stand right here. Okay. We're just going to talk about 2 quick slides. If you think about today's technology, I'm going to call it relatively impersonal. You know, you can personalize your desktop, you can apply themes, you can do a certain amount of customizing and having information present the way you want and that sort of stuff. But, if you project into the future, we think that's still fairly crude. And the other thing that we start to think about is that, when you get a whole plethora of devices talking to each other, sharing information across them, if you just take one example like parental controls, you can go to the web, you can install, Net Nanny, or you can use MSN parental controls, and that sort of takes care of the web experience. But if you think about all the ways that media and content can come into the home that your kid can have access to in the future, do you want to sit down and configure your TV? Do you want to configure this? Do you want to configure that? I don't think so. And so what we're thinking about is, what kinds of tools could do things like, basically, set up a series of what we'd call values, preferences, and so forth for your family, for different members of the family, and see that play across their entire lives. And so it would show up in the media guides. It might show up in the way the calendar appears and some of the options. It might affect your task manager and so forth. And so the concept would be, we hope, richly reflected across the whole house and your experience. I just want to show you guys a framework of sort of what we're thinking about. Across the top, we're thinking in terms of your values affecting your connections, that is to say your relationships with family members, with friends, with relatives, with devices, and that sort of thing. And then the other part of your life is made up with the choices that you make. The things you're going to do, the things you're going to watch, those sorts of things. Down the side, we look at some of the tools that we want to be thinking about if we're going to be applying values. And so one of those might be context. And we've tried in the current version of the home to help the house figure out the context of what you're trying to do. We're going to explore that some more. We look at persona tools. And, we think of those as, the presentation that you might make. Those could get a lot more sophisticated. How policy gets applied across your life. We've got something on there we call attractors. That's basically what happens to search and filters in the future. And allowing for the idea of serendipity and that sort of thing, too. And then we also, of course, want to take into account design. So that's just a brief overview of some of the things we're thinking about for values. And I would assume that we've got a lot of people here, certainly within research, that are looking at some of these ideas, and so that we think that that's probably a particularly rich area for us to think about having some opportunities to collaborate on.
So I'll talk a little bit about well-being. Of course, everything is under this umbrella of values, well-being being one of the things. One of the things we're looking at is how could we carry well-being across this family of devices that we have, and why is it important to be even talking about it now? As we were doing some research and thinking about the different kinds of concepts, well-being kept coming up. Things like, comfort, trust, health, spirit, safety, those kinds of things all are inclusive within the well-being topic. We're looking at different scenarios that we might use. Within that theme, we've been talking to Evergreen Hospital and coming up with some ideas how we might be able to remotely do some well-being scenarios, either connectivity to doctors, connectivity to other people who might have similar illnesses. Other kinds of well-being scenarios are, we're looking into potentially doing a bathroom. We've also been looking at, I've got a little list, a little cheat sheet list here.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah, lots of stuff. The locket that actually was in the demo that she just showed you about glass, that's a safety and security thing too. That falls within well-being. So a lot of the things that, a lot of the demos that we do, some of the concepts end up coming into the home also. Not everything is exclusive. Everything can sort of touch everything else. Then we have learning and play. Well, learning and play is one of the things that it's hard to get away from at Microsoft, and we've got a huge media division here that we're trying to keep up with. So there are lots of smart connected devices in the home that could really make for cool experiences, cool integrated and immersive experiences. And so one of the things that we really believe is that learning and play go hand in hand, and so whenever possible, if there's a learning experience, it should have a play aspect to it. If it's a play experience, potentially there's a learning thing that goes with it. We have this imaginary family that lives at the home. It's called the Higgs family. And so we always try and develop scenarios for this Higgs family. And depending upon who our audience might be or what we need to portray, we can apply different values or personas to these people, which is really nice. We have flexibility. We're not trying to pretend to be the real people, real data, or some of the other personas that the company's coming up with. We have more flexibility that way. So some of the learning scenarios are immersive experiences that are around travel, perhaps. We've got some cool things that we're doing with actually talking to research, talking to Andy, who is Andy Wilson, I'm sure you all know, about doing some things that involve cameras and detection and projectors. We've got this really cool idea for a kids display where we've got a whiteboard and a bulletin board on the wall, and if there's a projector projecting things, we can draw on the whiteboard and it can capture that image and potentially save it into our computers for us. We can have physical items that we can put up. We can potentially see what's there and move items around to accommodate the new physical things. The game table that Andy's been working on with research and the incubation team is a really good example of the kind of thing that we'd like to have in the home. We're not quite sure yet whether it's appropriate because it's a product that they're trying to develop. We do have to be aware of products coming out not under thank you, disclosing. So learning play. There are a lot of cool scenarios we can do with that. All right, so one of the things as we're developing all our scenarios is we're bringing in lots of different people from different political situations, countries. We've got press, we've got partners that are coming into the home. So we really need to make a good tour. And so the kinds of things that we think about are all of these things. And number one, bringing a good story into the home. And it has to be very well polished. It has to be believable. We're really trying to suspend disbelief. That's another reason that, if you can work with us, if you haven't got a highly polished demo of your thing, we can help you to make it look really good so that it is something that you can sell from the consumer perspective. And we're a great venue for that, too. I bring this up because, in a way, we're like a product. We have a schedule. We've got milestones. As you can see, at the beginning here, PM does a lot of thinking and concepts and scenarios and so on. We've tried to contact the research and get folks involved. We're encouraging you to think about how you might be involved with the next upgrade of the home, so please contact us. But once we get into a development mode, it's a little bit different. We really have to keep on a schedule and move forward. And then we all get to party at the end, after we do the bribing and whip cracking. And so, there are lots of opportunities for you. And actually, I think, Pam, I should let you speak to the opportunities. Within Beanstalk, being the next version of the Microsoft Home, if you have some concepts, ideas, research that might be appropriate, that have a potential consumer application, please talk to us. It'd be great to hear from you.
Thank you, Flora.
Oh, you're welcome, Pam. I'll sit down.
I'm going to tell you one quick story about Flora. We interviewed a lot of people for her position. We hired her because she showed up for the interview dressed like June Cleaver or something. It looked like, a housewife out of the 50s, and she had this plate of cookies. And I thought, oh, my God, what have I got here? So she shows me the cookies, and there's stencils on the cookies. They're fractals. And I thought, she has achieved exactly the right balance of what we're trying to do, between, say, the consumer perspective, but, enough, savvy and smarts on the technical side, too. So think of us as cookies and fractals. Some of the opportunities for working together. We've got, of course, Microsoft Home prototypes. And, if you've got something that you think is going to change the world, bring it to us. And let's see if we can create a situation that will get it, say, out of the lab and into the home and looking as part of the future. Vision prototypes, those are the freestanding demos, like a Lockett's demo. Special purpose prototypes, we do a lot of, for keynotes, integration, what I would call integration demos, and where we sometimes combine, we've done shipping code, data code, prototyping code all together with shipping hardware and prototyping hardware. This is not an exercise for the faint-hearted when you're doing a Bill G keynote. Right. And on some of those occasions, for example, a CEO summit a couple of years ago, we worked with John Crum on, and Dave Bargeron on some wireless scenarios. And it was quite an exciting experience, let me tell you. So again, if you've got these technologies, you're thinking about them, you think they've got application ultimately with the product groups, you want to explore it a little bit more, then certainly come talk to us. We also do a lot of scenario brainstorming, both in the home and in other locations as well. And we would encourage you to come talk to us. If you've got something you want to share, we can riff on it. And so you can come up with some scenarios. I would be happy to do that. We love doing that kind of thing. And then, of course, take tours of the home. Come see what it's about. That might also be a way of finding out, seeing some of maybe the connection points between what you're doing and what we are doing. If you want more information, these are the websites. One for general prototype information. We got one for the home. If you want to book the home for a tour, email the home rec alias, home request. And then you can also learn more about the MCX at MCX Web. Yes. Yeah, there's always more than one way to get things done in the future. So with that, can I answer any questions for anybody? Any of us? Yes, sir.
You didn't talk very much about process. Can you talk a little bit about other ideation groups that you might have mirrored your process after? Where did you come up with your process? Is it lone genius or team-based, that kind of stuff?
It's extremely collaborative, for starters. You know, it's very hard to pinpoint an idea and say one person came up with that. And certainly by the time it's executed and iterated on a number of times to get it really to the state that it needs to be, everybody's had a finger on it. You know, Jonathan, of course, who's our team director sitting over there, can talk about the early days and the genesis of the team and how the process has developed over time. But basically, it has been, I would say, quite organic. We've looked over time at, at what works, at what doesn't work, how we can build reliability into the system. We've got a Jedi developer lead, Sven Plyer, who has developed a demo platform. We call it Mojo. And it allows us a great deal of flexibility in putting together prototypes very, very quickly. It's got also one feature that I like a lot, and that is I feel like if I need to, I can make a change or a correction 5 minutes before a Build G review and go ahead and show the demo without fear of it crashing. And, you know, you've got to have a lot of, you know, trust in your platform to do something like that. And so, you know, it's a long way of saying that, you know, we've got a couple of documents that I'd be happy to, if you send me email, share with you about the general process that we use, the kind of scheduling milestones that we use, and those sorts of things. The pitfalls, the things you know you got to watch out for that are going to bite you in the butt, you know, all those kinds of things. Does that help?
Do you have standard artifacts you use over and over again through the process, or do you kind of wing it each time?
Well, I wouldn't say we wing it. Come on.
What was the question?
Our standard artifacts.
Are the standard artifacts that we use. The most standard artifact is the demo platform itself. You know, occasionally we reuse art, reuse music, something like that, but that's about the extent of it. Yeah, other questions I can answer? Other thoughts? If you don't ask questions, I'm going to have to send you back to your offices.
I don't understand what you mean by demo platform. Is that, is it
well,
on Windows?
It runs on Windows. It's not VB. It's not C++ per se. It's basically a demo platform that allows us to take graphics, Photoshop files, and if you know anything about Photoshop, you know, it's got, you know, lots of layers and that sort of thing, and allows us to turn those layers on and off. And that keeps us from, you know, having to basically hard code every single thing. It keeps us from having to cut up all the little graphics and all the little buttons and all the little button states into separate graphics and, you know, that sort of thing. We can also do special transitions without having to do flash animation and that sort of thing. Yeah?
Yeah, we had a good question over here which addresses the same point. So kind of why we do it.
Jonathan Klutz, our director.
A couple things we found over the years when we did all these prototypes. We used to do a lot of them in VB. We almost never did anything in Director, which would be normally the thing that you think that you just go to here. That's because almost always our prototypes somehow have to touch something real. So like in the Microsoft Home, it actually needs to control the light. It's not good enough that it drew a picture and it looked like the light came on. And it's better now, but 5 years ago, it was really hard to do that in Director, right? And so we do it in VB because it was really nice to go out and talk to other things. Of course, it was tough to make it look really great, right? Plus, there was a lot of energy and involvement in manipulating bitmaps, etc. So the Mojo platform has allowed us to quickly streamline from designers who basically now deliver the PSD file, right, with all the layers in place, with all of the interaction models that they want to manipulate it. We've gone another step forward since kind of that Photoshop layer, is that we're fully DirectX 9. So we're built entirely on that platform. All the video, every audio, every type of media that's displayed in the Microsoft Home today is all rendered through that, whether it's live TV or anything else. The other thing that it gives us is, of course, all the manipulative primitives. One of the big things we're working on right now is doing the exact equivalent we do with understanding PSD files, the primary output source of graphic designers, to understanding 3D Max output files, which is the primary building tool for 3D developers. So basically we can take a fully rendered 3D Max thing, put it in architecture by reading the file structure, and then manipulating the objects directly. So again, this is the kind of flexibility that we get that does allow us to 5 minutes beforehand go into Photoshop Layer 4, change the text that's on it, and then stick it all back in and have it just appear in the prototype fully functional without worrying about it crashing.
You know, and since our process is highly iterative, this is really useful.
Can you say a little bit more about the IP issues associated with products that are coming out and NDA contracts and things like that?
I'm not sure I understand.
Well, we work in hardware.
Okay.
So we've got a lot of things that we're actually working on in hardware for, 2 years out, 3 years out.
So you don't want to tip your hand early.
Well, that's where the question is. So you're asking for, is there overlap? And so there's a number of things that are overlapping with things that we're doing that would be interesting to see in the home, but then you raise the specter of the non-disclosure and all of that.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. One, the home is an NDA facility, but beyond that, if you had something like that you definitely wanted and the company needed to have protected by a patent, we should definitely file like pre-disclosures before it goes into the home. Jonathan, you have anything else you would want to add to that?
Yeah, the other thing is that we do have this kind of, we have a whole, if you looked at my team, right? We didn't talk much about it today because it's not as relevant, but we do the Microsoft Consumer Experience Program, and that's very much a 0 to 1 year out product pavilion for Microsoft's consumer efforts. Think of it as, if you wanted to go hear everything that Microsoft is doing in the consumer space, you'd have to go around and talk to Robbie Bach and the eHome division and everybody else. Well, you can go to the Microsoft Consumer Experience Center and see all of it in one place. It's actually over in Red West. I invite you all to come see that if you'd like to as well. And then we start talking about the home. Pam talks about it as being a 3 to 10 year. I tend to talk about it more as a 5 to 10 year. And I actually cut a hole there. And that's basically, we are going to be developing things that we want to drop in that hole. And the home isn't a great spot for those kind of things because we really do want to keep those as product efforts that we're going to develop. Now, there are other technologies that we may be developing. The one that I like to show in the home right now is we have a microwave that connects to everything else in the home. Well, Microsoft, even if we had some IP around connectable microwaves, it's never going to get in the microwave business. So it's really useful to actually be early showing, Westinghouse and GE when they come into the home, hey, did you ever think about, doing this? With the incentive, of course, for Microsoft is that we're going to enable a platform that lets you do all this stuff 3 years from now, right? And so that's a good way to think about it. So if you have really protectable IP that you're going to make a product and it's taking 3 years to develop and you don't want to talk to anybody about it, home's not the right place to put it. But if you have ideas or concepts that you need the industry to kind of start rallying behind in order to make your IP valuable and in order to have things in the future, then the home's a great spot for that because we get those kind of people there that can do that.
What else? Anything else? Okay. We're going to let you go. Thanks very much for your time. We appreciate it. And we hope to hear from you. And if you want to take a closer look at our potato devices, we've codenamed it, then please step up.